They laughed while I froze outside. So I took everything from them. They laughed through the window until I exposed everything. They left me to die in a snowstorm. No, seriously. Not metaphorically. Not emotionally. Literally. They locked me outside in minus 20 degrees Celsius, barefoot, while my wife's family laughed through the window. Freeze to death, you worthless idiot. Those were her mother's exact words. And I stood there, shivering, with snow already soaking into my socks, wondering how the hell my life turned into this. But here's the part that still messes with my head. 3 days later, my inbox had 47 desperate messages. From her dad, even from her sister, begging me to come back, saying they were sorry, saying they didn't know. Yeah, right. But let's rewind. Let me tell you how I ended up married to a woman who laughed as I nearly froze to death outside my own home. It started the way these stories always start, with a small red flag I ignored. Maybe it was how she'd roll her eyes when I brought up my job. I'm a paramedic, nothing glamorous, but it pays the bills. Maybe it was how her family always made these subtle digs about real men making six figures. Maybe it was the way her dad offered me a real job at his accounting firm, then laughed when I said I wanted to help people, not numbers. I thought they were just snobby. I thought it was a me versus them kind of thing, and she was stuck in the middle. But no, she was one of them all along. Her name's Audrey. We met at a grocery store. Cute, right? She dropped a bottle of wine. I caught it. That kind of movie moment. She laughed. I laughed. We talked. She gave me her number. 3 months later, we were inseparable. 6 months after that, we were married. Too fast. Yeah, I see that now. But she was beautiful, sharp, magnetic. She had this way of making me feel like I was finally enough. Like I wasn't just a guy working night shifts and scraping by. She'd say stuff like, "You're the only man I've ever respected," or "You're not like the others." And I wanted to believe it. For a while, things were good. We lived in this cozy 2-story house just outside the city, with a little front porch I built myself. She decorated the place like it was straight out of Pinterest. I was proud of it. Proud of us. But then her family started visiting. At first, it was just awkward dinners, her dad asking when I'd get serious about my career, her mom fake complimenting my cooking. I let it slide. It was her family. I didn't want to cause drama. But then came the tests. Her dad asked me to invest $10,000 in a business opportunity. When I said no, because I didn't have $10,000 just lying around, they stopped inviting me to family events. Audrey said, "They just need time to warm up to you." I believed her. Idiot move number 1. Then she started changing. She stopped asking how my shifts went. Stopped greeting me at the door. Started going out more, always saying it was just with the girls. Then she'd come home at 2 a.m., reeking of wine and perfume that wasn't hers. Still, I said nothing. Why? Because I loved her. Because I wanted it to work. Because I was stupid. But the real breaking point? That came on a night I'll never forget. It was mid-January. We were snowed in. Like, full-on blizzard, power outage, emergency alert snowed in. I was supposed to be off, but got called in for an emergency shift. A massive 20-car pileup on the highway. I was out there for 16 hours straight. When I finally made it home, frostbitten and dead on my feet, I reached for the front door. It was locked. I figured the power outage messed with the smart lock. Knocked. No answer. Knocked again. Louder. Then I saw them. Audrey. Her mom. Her dad. Her ex, apparently. All standing in the living room, drinking wine and laughing. I banged on the door. "Hey, open up." That's when her mom turned, looked me dead in the eyes through the window, and said, "Freeze to death, you worthless idiot." And then Audrey laughed. I didn't scream. Didn't beg. Just stood there. Snow soaking through my scrubs, fingers trembling so hard I could barely hold my phone. I called her. Voicemail. I texted. Nothing. They just watched. Like I was a dog they'd locked out. Eventually, I turned and walked away. I didn't even feel the cold anymore. Just this hollow numbness in my chest that didn't go away. I walked 12 blocks through that blizzard. Found a motel. Paid with the emergency cash I kept in my boot. Collapsed onto the bed and just stared at the ceiling. And do you know what the worst part was? I still loved her. Still thought maybe, she'd call and say it was a prank gone too far. A misunderstanding. Something. But 3 days passed. Silence. Until my inbox started blowing up. 47 unread messages. And counting. Audrey. Her mom. Her dad. Her sister. all saying the same thing. Please come home. We didn't mean it. It was a mistake. We need to talk. Yeah, now they want to talk. But they didn't know something had already shifted in me. Something that couldn't be undone. Because while I was frozen outside in the snow, I saw everything I needed to see. And what I did next? Let's just say, they never saw it coming. I didn't open the messages right away. I let them sit there, buzzing, piling up. 47 unread. Then 50. Then 61. Every time my phone vibrated, I stared at the screen and thought, why are you texting me now? Where were you when I was banging on the door, half frozen, begging to be let in? But curiosity's a dangerous thing. On day 4, around 2 a.m., I finally gave in. I turned off the motel TV, sat in that stiff, scratchy bed with a cracked headboard, and started scrolling. Message 1. We're sorry. We went too far. Please come home. Message 2. You don't understand. It was a misunderstanding. We were drunk. Message 5 from her mom. You're being dramatic. Just come back so we can talk this out. Message 11 from Andre. I didn't mean to laugh. I panicked. I didn't know what to do. And then, message 17. This one wasn't sent to me directly. It was a screenshot. From her sister. Subject line. You deserve to know. It was a group chat. A family chat. No filters. No apologies. Just truth. Her dad. He'll crawl back. He always does. Give it a few days. Her mom. He's just playing the victim again. Classic paramedic martyr syndrome. And Andre. My wife. My wife. She said. He's too weak to leave. He's addicted to saving people, even us. Let him freeze a little. Might grow a spine. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. Addicted to saving people? Is that how she saw me? Not as her husband. Not as someone who sacrificed everything to be there for her. Just some pathetic fixer-upper she could break down, rebuild, and break again? I reread the messages 5 times. My chest was tight. My jaw locked. And then the final one. From her dad, again. If he doesn't come crawling back by Sunday, we'll freeze the joint account. That'll bring him home. That's when it clicked. This was never about love. Never about regret. This was about control. They weren't sorry. They were scared. Scared I wouldn't come back. Scared they'd lose access to the one person who never said no. I was never the son-in-law. Never the husband. I was the safety net. The doormat. The free ride. And they thought I'd come crawling back. Because I always did. But this time, I had nothing left to crawl with. They burned the last piece of me in that blizzard. And now? Now I had nothing to lose. So I made a decision. The kind you can't take back. I got out of bed, pulled on my boots, and I drove straight to the bank. First thing next morning, I walked in and calmly asked to freeze all joint accounts. I showed them the texts, the screenshots, the marriage certificate, everything. The teller looked up at me and said, "Are you sure?" And I just nodded. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. 20 minutes later, the account was frozen. My name was taken off. A new account opened, mine only. Quiet. Clean. Private. No more shared cards. No more shared savings. No more access. Then, I did something petty. Maybe even cruel. But you know what? It felt damn good. I went home. Yeah, I actually went back to that house. But not to talk. I parked 2 blocks away. Waited until they all left for brunch. They'd made a reservation every Sunday like clockwork, and I used my spare key to get inside. My boots were still wet from 4 days ago, so I left puddles across the floor. Their fancy wine glasses? I stacked them. Carefully. All 6. With one missing. The one I knew had been in her ex's hand that night. Then I walked upstairs. Grabbed the only 3 things I cared about in that house. My dad's old watch. A photo of my mom and me from my graduation. And the small wooden box where I kept every letter Andre ever wrote me, back when I thought she loved me. I didn't burn them. Not yet. I wanted to remember who I used to be before I forgot my own worth. Before I let these people redefine me. And then, I left. Quietly. Without a note. Without a goodbye. By the time they got back, I was already miles away. My phone lit up less than an hour later. Andre. Where are you? What did you do to the account? Her dad. This isn't how adults handle things. You better fix this. Her mom. You're being insane. Do you want to ruin this family over a joke? A joke. Locking me out. In a blizzard. That was their idea of a joke. You ever have that moment when your brain just goes quiet? Like, completely still? I had that. And in that silence, I realized something. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want to scream. I didn't want to prove anything. I just wanted out. But I knew them. They wouldn't let me go easily. So I gave them one final message. Don't worry. I'm not coming back. I'm not taking anything else. You can keep the house, the furniture, even the dog. Just know this. I finally grew the spine you joked about. And it's walking away for good. The read receipts lit up. 3 dots. Typing. Then nothing. And for the first time in years, I felt free. The funny thing about leaving everything behind? It doesn't feel like freedom at first. It feels like falling. I spent the next 2 nights in a crappy roadside motel with flickering lights and a vending machine that stole my quarters. I didn't care. I didn't need much. I had silence. No fake apologies. No guilt-tripping voicemails. No one tapping the glass, asking for just one more favor. But then on day 3, something unexpected happened. Her sister texted me. Not Andre. Not her parents. Her younger sister, Mia. Now let me be clear. Mia always kept her head down. She never said much at family dinners, never joined in the jabs. She'd sit quietly, scroll on her phone, barely make eye contact. I figured she just didn't like me. Turns out, I was wrong. Her message was simple. Hey, I know this is random, but are you safe? I stared at the screen, confused. Out of everyone, she was worried? I replied. Yeah, I'm fine. Why? A few minutes later, she called me. And for a moment, I almost didn't answer. But something told me I should. Her voice was shaky, fast, like she'd been holding this in for a long time. Listen, I don't care if you hate all of us. You probably should. But you need to know, something's going on. I sat up straight. What do you mean? She hesitated, then said it. They're planning something. Your name, your credit. They're trying to spin this like you emptied the account. My stomach dropped. No. No way. I froze the account legally. I had documentation. Proof. Still, I knew how manipulative they could be. And suddenly, everything clicked. All the messages. All the silence after I said I wasn't coming back. That wasn't acceptance. That was planning. They weren't giving up. They were regrouping. Why are you telling me this? I asked, trying to keep my voice level. Another pause. Then Mia whispered. Because I've been watching them do this to people my whole life. She told me stories. Ones I never heard. Ones Andre never mentioned. Her dad had a habit of ruining ex-business partners who didn't fall in line. Her mom used fake tears to ruin a teacher's career after Mia got a bad grade. And Andre? She once forged an ex's signature to lease a car under his name and dumped the payments on him when they broke up. I felt sick. And now they're coming for me. Mia didn't answer. She didn't have to. That silence was the answer. So I acted fast. I gathered every shred of documentation I had, bank statements, chat logs, even a voice memo I'd saved of her dad pressuring me to invest again last Christmas. I made copies, uploaded them to cloud storage, sent them to a lawyer friend from high school who owed me a favor. Then I did something that would change everything. I filed for divorce. Not later. Not next week. That day. And not quietly either. I CC'd the family email thread. Every single one of them. Subject. Formal notice. Divorce proceedings initiated. The replies came fast and unhinged. Her dad. You're overreacting. Let's talk like men. Her mom. I always knew you'd abandon her. You're just like your deadbeat father. Which, by the way, my dad was a firefighter who died saving 2 kids. So, yeah, let that sink in. Andre? She didn't reply at all. Not for 2 days. But when she did, oh, she unleashed. You seriously think you're the victim here? You broke our family. You humiliated me. Do you know how many people are asking questions now? I laughed out loud when I read that. Oh, now she cared what people thought? That's when I realized. She wasn't grieving the marriage. She wasn't even mad about the account. She was embarrassed. Because for the first time ever, she lost control. And she hated it. But it wasn't over. Not even close. Because 2 days later, Mia messaged me again. And what she told me, that was the twist I never saw coming. She said, they're hiding something. About you. About your name. Your credit. You need to check your report now. I didn't ask questions. Just open the app. And what I saw made my blood go cold. $18,672. A new line of credit. Opened 2 weeks ago. Under my name. Not by me. They were already trying to bury me in debt, to ruin my name, my future. This wasn't just a bad breakup. This was war. $18,672. That number peeled in my head like a migraine. I just stared at the screen, at the fake credit line, the forged signature, the nerve of it. I was out. Gone. Silent. And they still came for me. They couldn't let go. Because without me, their fixer, their scapegoat, their punching bag, they were nothing. And now? They were desperate. I called the bank immediately, filed a fraud report, sent over my ID, my marriage certificate, screenshots of every message. The rep on the line said something like, "It's going to take time to investigate." I didn't have time. So I made a plan. And I didn't make it alone. Because here's the plot twist. Mia wasn't just helping me. She was done with them, too. She told me everything. How Andre had been planning this for weeks. How her mom encouraged her to take what she could before he runs. How her dad called in his lawyer to find a loophole in our prenup. What they didn't know. The prenup was airtight. Signed, notarized, and protected by one of the best lawyers I knew. My late dad's best friend, who swore he'd burn the earth for me if needed. Time to light the match. Mia and I met at a diner on the edge of town. Quiet. Off the grid. She slid a manila envelope across the table like we were in some Cold War movie. Inside? Screenshots. Recordings. Voice memos. And the golden ticket. A recorded call. 2 weeks old. Andre. Talking to her mom. "If he doesn't come back by next week, I'm filing a police report. I'll say he hit me. That'll stop the divorce." My heart dropped. Not anger. Not fear. Just this cold clarity. She was never going to let me go clean. She wanted to destroy me. But now? Now I had evidence. So I sent it. All of it. To my lawyer. To the credit fraud division. And this was the fun part, to Andre's entire office. CC'd. Everyone. Boss. HR. Coworkers. Clients. Subject line. Character reference for your PR manager. No threats. No insults. Just facts. Timeline. Audio. Screenshots. I ended it with, "Just thought you'd want to know who represents your brand." And then I waited. 2 hours later, my phone blew up. Mia messaged. She's screaming. She just got pulled into an HR emergency meeting. Her boss is livid. Her dad emailed me. One line. "You've gone too far." I didn't even reply. Because here's the thing. I hadn't even started. That night, I finally did something I'd avoided for months. I posted on Reddit. Not for sympathy. Not even for revenge. Just the full story. How I was locked out during a blizzard. How they faked an apology. How they tried to ruin me financially. And how I walked away, but they followed. I blurred names. Hid locations. Kept it clean. But I didn't hold back. Within 6 hours? 72,000 upvotes. Comments pouring in. People sharing their own stories. Calling it abuse. Gaslighting. Financial entrapment. And then, someone tagged a journalist. Someone with a podcast. A big one. They messaged me directly. "Can we talk? This story needs to be heard." I said yes. Not because I wanted fame, but because for once, I had the mic. And Andre? She couldn't stand that. She tried to go online. Deny it all. Said it was out of context. Didn't work. Because Mia posted the full audio. And when she did, Andre's entire world fell apart. She was suspended from work. The HR department launched a formal investigation. Her personal blog, the one where she preached about healing and positive energy, gone. Comments flooded with the truth. But the best part? Her dad, the untouchable patriarch, got exposed for trying to coerce me into a fake investment. Turns out, his firm had a few other skeletons, too. An audit followed. Then a shutdown. Then, well, let's just say he needed a lawyer real bad. And me? I was finally sleeping again. Not looking over my shoulder. Not checking my bank account every hour. I was just free. But there was still one more message I had to send. Not to Andre. Not to her parents. To Lily. Her little niece. The only innocent one in that house of vipers. I wrote her a letter. Simple. Kind. "You're going to grow up and hear a lot of stories about me. Some true. Some twisted. Just know, I never walked away from you. I walked away to protect myself. And one day you'll understand why that matters." I never got a reply. But I didn't need one. Because by now, they were all too busy trying to survive the fire they lit themselves. The moment Andre got exposed, They all went silent. No more rage emails. No more, you went too far. Just static. But I wasn't celebrating. Not yet. Because I knew these people. When they go quiet, they're planning something. And I was right. 2 weeks later, a new account popped up online. Anonymous. No profile pic. But the bio? Truth matters. Cute. First post? A long thread titled, "The Other Side of the Blizzard Story." It had everything. Disgruntled husband. Manipulative edits. Taken out of context. Classic victim flipping 101. And they made it sound convincing. Used big words. Emotional phrasing. Even a couple real screenshots, edited just enough to twist the truth. The comments were brutal. Half the people believed them. The other half weren't sure anymore. Doubt spreads fast. My inbox started filling up again. But now it wasn't support, it was questions. Did you fake that audio? Why didn't you show the full thread? Why would a whole family lie about something like this? I wanted to scream. I knew it was them. The tone. The structure. Even the dumb coffee emoji Andre always used when she was lying. But I couldn't prove it. Yet. Until Mia called me. Her voice was shaking again. "They're pushing it too far," she said. "My mom wants to say you hit her. She's drafting the post now." I couldn't breathe for a second. This wasn't just about reputation anymore. This was legal. This was dangerous. But I was ready. Because remember how I said I had one final card? Yeah. Time to play it. 6 months before all this, way before the blizzard, Andre had forced me into therapy. Couples counseling, she called it. Communication improvement. In reality, she just wanted someone to validate her version of events. But what she didn't know, our therapist kept detailed notes and audio backups for legal protection. And after everything blew up, I requested those files. Took weeks. Paperwork. Verifications. But I got them. And in one of those sessions, she said it. Laughed. Even. Sometimes I feel like if I left him outside in the snow, he'd still say sorry for making me do it. The therapist chuckled awkwardly. I didn't. And now? That clip was mine. Unedited. Clear. With her voice. The timestamp. Everything. So I uploaded it. No caption. No context. Just the raw audio. And I let it speak for itself. That night, the anonymous account disappeared. Completely wiped. Their thread gone. Every comment? Deleted. Every repost? Flagged by users who finally saw the truth. Andre tried to come back one more time. She posted a sob story on her personal blog. Said she was bullied off the internet by a toxic ex who weaponized trauma. But no one bought it. Because by now, everyone had seen the pattern. The laughing. The lies. The manipulation. And me? I never had to raise my voice. All I did was shine a light. The damage? They did that all by themselves. But here's what no one expected. I didn't want revenge anymore. I didn't want her ruined. Didn't want her broke. Didn't want her crawling back. I just wanted something much harder to get. Silence. And I got it. The divorce finalized the next month. Clean split. No contest. They were too busy saving face to fight it. Mia moved out too. Said she was done performing. She got a job in another city. Said it feels like breathing again. And me? I moved into a tiny apartment above a coffee shop. Quiet. Warm. Paid in full. Sometimes I wake up expecting another text. Another emergency. But all I hear now is the hum of the heater and the street light buzzing outside my window. That silence? It's not emptiness. It's peace. And if you've ever had your sanity pushed to the edge, you know how rare that is. But just when I thought the story was over, she showed up. Not Andre. Someone else. And what she told me changed everything. I was finally settling into the silence. No calls. No threats. No guilt. The war fell over. I even started sleeping again. Real sleep, not the twitchy, half-alert kind you get when you're waiting for the next bomb to drop. But then, late one Thursday night, around 9:40 p.m., someone knocked on my door. 3 slow knocks. No text before. No call. No buzz from the gate. I froze. Because that kind of knock? It carries weight. I grabbed my phone. No messages. Opened the door with my foot wedged behind it, just in case. It wasn't Andre. It wasn't her parents. It wasn't Mia. It was a woman. Maybe mid-30s. Gray coat. Eyes red like she'd been crying for hours. She looked at me like she knew me. Like she knew everything. You don't know me, she said. But I think I owe you the truth. Her name was Camilla. And she used to be engaged. To Andre. Yeah. Apparently, before me, before the dream wedding, before the house, Andre had been engaged to a woman. For 2 years. They kept it quiet. Because of family optics. Camilla told me they broke up when Andre's dad found out and threatened to disown her. So Andre did what Andre always does. She adapted. Repackaged herself. Got a new narrative. New man. Me. I thought she was broken after me, Camilla said, hands shaking. But I see now, she was just reloading. I let her in. Made tea. Let her talk. And what she said next shattered the last piece of the puzzle. Because that blizzard night? The one where I was locked out? It wasn't spontaneous. Camilla showed me a letter. One she found in an old box after hearing about my story online. It was handwritten. Dated 4 months before our wedding. Andre's handwriting. If I ever need to reset things, all I need is a trigger. Something public. Something emotional. Something that makes him walk away, so I don't have to be the bad guy. Snow always works. It's poetic. I read that part again and again. My hands went numb. She planned it. Planned the storm. The scene. The humiliation. Also, she could frame me as the one who left. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't even about money. It was about narrative. Because if she made me leave, she stayed the victim. Got the sympathy. The attention. The moral high ground. She used the weather like a weapon. And the worst part? She'd done it before. Camilla told me the same thing happened to her. Different setup, same formula. Emotional stress. Public breakdown. Disappear. Camilla was labeled unstable. She lost friends. Her family took Andre's side. And she never told her story until now. She looked at me and said something I'll never forget. I didn't come here to heal you. I came here to warn you. She's not done. I didn't understand at first. But then she pulled out one more thing. A screenshot. An event listing. From a private invite-only community forum Andre used to run. A speaking event. Title. Surviving Narcissistic Abuse. My Personal Journey Through Manipulation and Control. She was going to speak. About me. As the abuser. I felt the heat rise in my chest so fast it blurred my vision. Every part of me screamed to act, to fight back. To burn it all down. But I didn't. Instead, I asked Camilla. Would you be willing to tell your story? She hesitated. Looked down. Then nodded. And that was the moment I knew. This wasn't about me anymore. This was about every person she'd ever broken, and every person she'd try to break next. And now, we had the receipts. The event was set for Saturday. Downtown. Upscale wellness center. Closed to the public, the invite said. But it wasn't closed to me. Because 2 days earlier, I bought a ticket. Camilla got one too. We didn't sneak in. We didn't wear disguises. We walked in like we belonged there. Because we did. She was speaking about us, so we had every damn right to be there. The place was exactly what you'd expect. Candles. Soft music. Rows of women sipping tea from mugs that said things like, breathe through the chaos. It smelled like lavender and lies. And then she walked out. Andre. Looking like nothing had ever touched her. Hair curled. Flowing beige sweater. Calm, gentle voice. Fake. To the bone. She started with a deep breath and said, I want to thank you all for being here. Sharing my story hasn't been easy. But I know that when we speak our pain, we reclaim our power. Applause. Then she said it. I was married to a man who made me feel invisible. Who controlled everything. Who twisted the narrative so that when I finally tried to leave, I was the villain. More nods. A few gasps. Someone in the back whispered, she's so brave. I felt Camilla shift beside me. Then Andre kept going. She told them I screamed at her. That I blocked her in a snowstorm. That I cut off her money and stole from our account. Every lie, layered with emotional pauses and half-tears. She even said she feared for her safety the night I left. That was the moment I stood up. Not yelling. Not angry. Just calm. Clear. I have a question, I said. All heads turned. Some confused. Some annoyed. Andre froze. Her eyes met mine, and for the first time, she panicked. This is a healing space, she said quickly, trying to recover. Please don't interrupt. But I wasn't interrupting. I was reclaiming. I just want to ask something simple, I said, stepping into the aisle. Do you remember this quote? I pulled out my phone. Hit play. Her voice, loud and clear. Sometimes I feel like if I left him outside in the snow, he'd still say sorry for making me do it. The entire room went still. She tried to speak. Stumbled. That's not what I owe. Camilla stood up. Hi. I'm Camilla. I was her fiancée before him. More gasps. She did the same thing to me. Same story. Same escape. Same blame. I could see the cracks forming. One woman got up and left. Another pulled out her phone. One in the front row whispered, "Wait. I've heard this before." And then came the final blow. A third voice. From the back. Mia. She planned it. She wrote about it months before it happened. She called it poetic. Andre's head whipped around. "You're all ganging up on me," she snapped. "This is emotional abuse." But no one clapped. No one nodded. They watched her unravel. In real time. And for the first time in her life, she had no script left. I stepped forward one last time. "This isn't revenge," I said quietly. "This is truth. And if you're going to tell your story, we're going to tell the whole one." Then I walked out. No applause. No chaos. Just a slow, heavy silence. By the time I got to my car, Mia texted me. Half the audience left early. The event page got pulled. Sponsors want refunds. Andre tried to spin it again. Claimed we ambushed her. Said she was a victim of organized harassment. But screenshots don't lie. Voicemails don't lie. Patterns don't lie. And now? Even her own audience had stopped listening. I thought it was over. No more threats. No more drama. No more games. I had finally reclaimed silence. My phone stayed quiet. My inbox clean. For the first time in months, my name wasn't being twisted in someone else's story. And then she showed up. At my door. No text. No call. No warning. Just 3 soft knocks and a shadow behind the frosted glass. I opened the door halfway, foot braced behind it. Just in case. It was Andre. Hair tied back. No makeup. Black coat. Face pale. But she didn't come alone. Standing next to her was a man, mid-40s, suit, leather folder in his hands. A lawyer. Of course. She raised her hand slowly. "Can we talk?" I didn't answer. She glanced at the lawyer, then back at me. "I'm not here to fight." Still, I said nothing. "Then talk through the door," I said. "That's close enough." She exhaled. Nervous. That was new. I'm dropping it. Everything. The speaking events. The blog. The accusations. It's over. I waited. But there's something about the house. There it was. Always something. Her lawyer stepped forward. Calm voice, practiced lines. "Mr. D, due to a clerical error during the divorce filing, your name is still legally attached to the property. Technically, you co-own it." I blinked. My jaw clenched. That house, the same one where I was locked out in a snowstorm, was still partially mine? "You're joking," I said. He shook his head. "I wish I was." Then Andre spoke again, quietly. "I didn't know until last week. But I can't keep it. I don't want it anymore." I stared at her, waiting for the catch. "I'm leaving the city," she said. "Everything here's done. My job's gone. My name's ruined. I'm moving somewhere no one knows me." So that was it. This wasn't an apology. It wasn't closure. It was damage control. She wasn't here to make things right. She was here to cut the last string that still tied her to the mess she made. "I'm signing it over to you," she said. "No contest. I don't want anything." Then her voice cracked. "Barely. I just want peace." That almost felt real. Almost. They handed me the folder. Deed transfer. Simple. Legal. Clean. No tricks. But tucked inside the folder was something else. A handwritten letter. "I don't expect forgiveness. I just want peace. We broke each other. Maybe I never really knew who I was with you. Maybe I didn't care. But I hope someday you find someone who sees you and doesn't try to change you." I read it once. Then I burned it. The next morning, I signed the papers. 1 week later, the house was mine. I stood in the empty living room. No furniture. No lights. Just me in the silence. Where once there was humiliation and rage. Now there was nothing. And that, somehow, felt like freedom. 1 week after I signed the deed and took full ownership of the house, I finally let myself walk through it, not as a guest, not as a ghost, but as the owner. No more shared names. No more strings. Just walls and floors and echoes of everything I survived. It still felt haunted. Not by spirits, by memories. The locked door. The snow on my skin. Her laughter behind the glass. I wasn't sure if I'd keep the place. Maybe I'd sell it. Maybe I'd burn sage and start over. Maybe I'd get it top to bottom and rebuild something that actually felt like mine. I walked into the hallway closet to start clearing it out. That's when I saw it. Tucked between some dusty mail and a stack of candle jars she probably bought just for show was an envelope. No stamp. No return address. Just my name. To the one who walked through hell. The handwriting was unfamiliar. Careful. Sincere. I opened it. And the moment I read the first line, the air shifted. You don't know me. But I've known you from the sidelines. Quietly. Silently. I used to work at her father's firm. My heart started racing. I've watched for years as they manipulated, ruined, and rewrote the stories of people they couldn't control. Business partners. Employees. Family. And no one ever said anything. Because if you do, they bury you. I sat down on the floor, gripping the pages like they might disappear if I blinked. When I heard what they did to you, I wanted to speak up. I almost did, but I was scared. Like everyone else. But the night of the snowstorm? I was there. I was on the call. Her father laughed. Said, let him freeze. Maybe it'll humble him. And they all laughed. I stopped breathing. It wasn't just real. It wasn't just planned. It was coordinated. You should know. You weren't crazy. You weren't weak. You were the first person who didn't just survive. You stood up. Most of us? We just take it. We cave. You walked away. And for the first time, they didn't win. I don't know what you'll do with this letter. Maybe nothing. But I couldn't stay silent anymore. I'm sorry I didn't speak up when it mattered. But I hope this truth helps you heal. No signature. No name. Just one final line. They only win when you stay. And you left. That's your legacy. I set the letter down. Sat there for a long time. No anger. No sadness. Just this quiet, heavy sense of confirmation. It was never about me being too sensitive. Never about me being dramatic. It was real. All of it. And finally, someone else saw it too. That night, I didn't burn the letter. I folded it, tucked it in a drawer, kept it, not as a scar, as a reminder that I got out. And sometimes, that's more powerful than revenge. I kept the house, not out of nostalgia, not for comfort, but because I needed to know I could stand inside the same walls they tried to bury me in. And feel nothing. And I did. No memories. No ghosts. No bitterness. Just silence. The kind you earn. I started small, stripped the walls. Took out every fake plant and polished marble tray she used for aesthetic. Painted everything white. Blank slate. New couch. New dishes. New locks. I never thought I'd find peace in the same place I'd once stood, locked out, shaking in the snow. But peace has a strange way of showing up. When no one else does. I hadn't heard from Audrey in months. No texts. No fake apologies. No rumors. She vanished. Changed her number. Deleted her socials. She became what she feared most, forgettable. And then, one afternoon, I got a letter. But not from her. From Mia. Simple envelope. Light blue. Her handwriting. Hey, I don't know if this is weird, but I wanted to thank you. For walking away. For showing me what it looks like when someone says enough. You didn't just free yourself, you helped me free myself, too. I live 3 cities away now. Got my own place. No contact with them. Not even on holidays. I thought I'd feel guilty. But mostly, I just feel clean. There's one more thing. Lily, my niece, she asked about you the other day. Not in a sad way. Just curious. I told her the truth. That once upon a time, a very kind man took care of her, even when no one else was watching. She smiled. And that's all you need to know. I stared at those last 2 lines for a long time. Not because they hurt, but because they didn't. I wasn't angry. I wasn't broken. I didn't need closure from Audrey or her father or the people who tried to rewrite me into the villain of their story. Because I'd already written my own. And in mine, I didn't burn down the house. I rebuilt it. I didn't scream at the storm. I walked out of it and never looked back. The night I finished painting the last wall, I stood in the center of the empty room. No music. No talking. No performance. Just me. Alive. Still here. And I realized something. They tried to erase me. But they couldn't. Because I am still standing. And they'll spend the rest of their lives chasing silence. While I live in it.